Hello, my name is Cami Wynn, and this is my week 6 lesson plan for timed repeated reading. This is for 2nd grade, and let's begin. Okay, so the objective is for students to have the ability to read fluently, and they'll also improve their reading rate and accuracy as well. There are a few things that we're going to go through today. So, let's look here. To introduce it, you're going to have the introduction of what's going to happen, and then you're going to have your test that your kids will take. So first you'll say, it's important to read smoothly and fluently so it sounds like you are talking. It also helps readers understand what they are reading. In this is a timed reading test activity, and you will read the same passage over and over again until you can fluently read it at a certain rate. You are also going to learn a graph to keep a record of your reading time and improvement. Now at this time, this is when you would give them their sample passage. For this example, I used BMX bikes, which is used also in the lesson plan in our book. So you're going to give the student the copy of the BMX bikes or whatever paper you decide for them to read. And then you're going to explain to the student that previewing the passage helps them be able to read it. So you'll have the student preview it. And I'll have them, please read the title of the passage. And then they'll read the title, which is in this case BMX bikes. And then what is the title? And they tell you again. And what do you think this passage is about? And then they would say what they think the passage is about. Now, I'd like you to read aloud the passage. If you get stuck on a word, I will help you figure it out. Okay, and then you monitor the students' reading and assist with decoding words and word recognition as needed. As far as listening to the student read, you need to set a timer for 1 minute and ask your students to sit across from you or next to you with your non-writing hand. So for me, it would be my left hand. You are going to have the numbered copy form of the BMX bikes in front of you, and they will have the regular version. The numbers on the paper indicate the lines on the paper passage. Then you will say to them, doing your best reading, please read the passage aloud to me with expression and good even pace. A pace that isn't too slow or isn't too fast. Start with the first word and read until the timer goes off. Whenever you're ready, begin. And at this time, this is when the students would read the first word. You would hit the timer to start for the 1 minute countdown. You're going to follow along with your red pen or a pencil, whatever you have to mark it with, on your copy so you know where their errors are. You need to place a bracket over the last word that they say when the timer comes up. And then at the end, you're supposed to say, great, you did really well. Praise them on it. So then we're going to review student performance. So reviewing students' performance on the 1 minute timing test is by proving the positive feedback first. So, for example, you could say, you did a great job reading. You read really smoothly, carefully, with expression. I really especially liked how you decoded the word kickstand quickly and self-corrected the word ground. Then that's when you provide the corrective feedback on any word errors such the student made. Treat the errors as puzzles to be solved rather than big mistakes. Next, you're going to calculate the ORF score. So first you're going to tell the student that you will now show them how to calculate their own score. Explain that the score tells how many words the student read per minute correctly. To calculate the ORF score, what you do is you first count the total number of words that the student read and the number of errors that the student made. Then you subtract the errors from the total of words that they read. To introduce the progress graph and entering data, once your student has their ORF schedule percentage calculated, Then what you'll do is you'll say, this is the graph that we keep track of your reading progress. And you point out the diagonal lines. And of course you'll have it week 1, week 2, week 3. And explain that the WCPM stands for words correct per minute. The final goal and date. You want to point to the final goal and date and say, here's where I wrote your final goal. So this is where you want them to be completely. Today you read the first grade passage of BMX Bikes at 60 correct words per minute with only 2 mistakes. Your final goal by December 5th, this would be their timeline at that point, is to read mid-second grade passage at 90 words a minute and with no more than 2 mistakes or errors. And at this point, this is when you're going to take the student, you're going to plot their score out with them. So in 1 minute, you're going to read 62 words and make 2 mistakes. Your score is 60 words per minute, or 62-2, since you had 2 errors. And then you would show them in the box where Monday would be, say it was Monday and it was week 1, below the graph, and then you would write the number of words you read and the number of mistakes, so this is 62-2, I'm sorry. So you would have them write the 60-2 in the box, and then you would plot it on the graph as you go. Okay, and then you show them the final goal and the aim line. So this is where you would say, today you scored 60 correct words per minute, but your final goal is 90 words correct per minute. On the graph, I'm going to draw a line called the aim line. So this is what you're going to aim to go to. This aim line shows how much daily or weekly progress you may need to make your final goal. And using a ruler, you would take it and you would mop up the points from where they are now to your aim line and draw a horizontal line. Now we're going to set your BMX Bikes passage reading goal. You will read the passage as many times as it takes for you to improve your score each time that you read. When you read the passage reading goal, you will need a new passage to read and a new goal. Each time you reach your goal, we'll celebrate by doing something nice. And then so for you would say tomorrow, it looks like your goal is set at 61 words correct per minute. So since 65 words correct per minute is a little above your aim line, your goal for BMX Bikes is to be able to reach 65 words correct per minute, and watch as I draw your passage growth line. So then you would do that. And then you're going to do this again with the time test as well. So you're going to give the student the same unnumbered copy of BMX Bikes and say, this is the same passage, this is the next day. So this is the same passage that you read yesterday, and ask them what the title of the passage is, and they would say, the BMX Bikes. And then please whisper read the passage to yourself, and if you get stuck on a word, just ask me. You want to make sure your students are motivated, because this will help them get through their reading and show it a point of hard work, that it does take true hard work to get there, and that it is a goal worth achieving. So then once you get done reading their score and you score it accordingly like the last day, you will take a look at yesterday's score and how many words correct per minute did you read? And they would say 60. So how many mistakes did you make? 2. And then we point out the passage goal line and ask, what's your goal for this passage? And they would say 65. And they would say how far they were from their goal yesterday. So they were going 5 points away. And then you have them set a new goal for today. So how many words more do you think you can read today? For this instance, they say 3. So when they say that, they can only have 2 mistakes. So say you need to read carefully because you only have 2 mistakes and you're going up to 63 words per minute. So then let's see if you can reach your goal today. And then you would follow the same thing as far as monitoring them the first time with the 1-minute testing. And then after this, you would calculate their ORF score like before. And then say today that you read 63 words and made one mistake. Your score for is 62 words per minute, and with a 63-1 meaning that you made one mistake. So this is what you would graph below. And then watch as I write it on here, and then you can copy it down from there. So then you would just basically model the same thing that you did the previous day, but obviously the student showed progress. And then, of course, you would review the goal with them, show them where this point of today was versus yesterday and how they are going up their aim line and where they need to be to finish this passage in the correct timeline. If a student is having trouble meeting the goal passage line, you need to provide encouragement and support. As you provide support to the student, you need to make sure that the idea of hard work is still in mind. You could recommend doing practice, ask them what works best as far as practice. And if a student makes his or her goal, you need to celebrate and move on to the next passage. Give them a little pencil or something that is intriguing to them that will keep their attention. You need to be able to reward your students for this kind of effort because they're going to need this later on. There are a few instances where students could mispronounce a word, and they would be able to have corrective feedback done. So if students begin to read really quickly, you want to try to stop them and have them restart again. Say, remember, we're not trying to read as fast as we can. We're just trying to read the best that we can. And you can restart the test so that way they can get a better chance to slow down. For some of my other students that I could have for instructional considerations, what I would do is I would, for ELL students, have them recording themselves reading a passage and then have them listen to it. And I would also correct the paper as they would read so they could redo the recording to make sure that they're listening and at the same time they can get their stuff right. This builds encouragement, and it also builds accuracy and student self-assessment. For my special education students, I would have them read a couple of passages and then answer questions. For example, I would find a simple passage and then have them answer questions such as, what did Jane take to the lake? So then it helps with their reading comprehension as they're going along. To help them slow down and look back and figure out what they're reading about. For my talented and gifted students, I would have them partner up in reading. I would have my higher kids work with some of my middle kids, maybe even some lower kids, depending on where they are at. And they would sit down and read passages together. This not only helps the higher kids feel like they're important and that they're helping out with the other kids, but it also helps the lower level kids to really aspire and try to continue to be close to where the higher kids are at. This can create some competition, so you need to be careful about that. But otherwise, it's a great motivation thing for both kids because they enjoy it. And I think that's most of my lesson, so thank you, and I look forward to your feedback.